Hi everyone, Ladies Team here. In this video, we're going to talk about building and assembling and decorating your puzzle box, your patterns puzzle box. And I'm going to walk you through all of the steps involved in building and using your patterns puzzle box. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my bag of parts, and you need to spend quite a bit of time probably actually doing some decorating and preparation on this project before you go to assemble it. There's my hardware kit. So as always, there's a hardware bag, and you're going to put that on the side and get it out of your way. And you've got a stack of big parts, which we'll take apart in a second here, and 2 stacks of little parts. So let's start by looking at our box, and I didn't glue this top on, so I'm going to pop the top off for right now and this one side off so you can see what we've actually done. In this box, we're going to build a box top, and we're going to build an inner box and an outer box. So the inner box is this one. The outer box is this one. And it gets the box top glued on top of it, which is actually the puzzle itself. So now let's look at the pieces that make that up. And your first challenge is going to be separating the big parts from the small parts. So, the bigger box, again, is going to be the outside box. And we're going to look at the sides and bottom of the box first, and you can compare lengths to tell which box is which. And the longer pieces belong to the outside box, and the shorter pieces belong, of course, to the inside box. And then you'll notice that you've got 2 little square pieces. The one with these big teeth is the one that's part of the outside box as well. So, ends of my boxes, I've got these 2 pieces with the little U's. Those are part of the box top. These 2 rectangles, one with the little hole and one with the big hole, are part of the inner box, along with this rectangular piece. So we're going to take those. Then we've got our other box top piece, which is this pretty one. That's going to go there with the part of the box we're going to assemble that everybody's going to see. From a sides perspective, the big box sides and the big box ends are the ones that have those big teeth on them. And then the bottom for that big box is this one that's the exact same length as those 2 sides. So that's my big box, along with the 2 box top pieces and the decorative box top. My other box has 2 pieces for the sides, a smaller piece for the bottom, and we'll talk about how that goes together, and the end. And then then we've got a rectangle to go on one end, and we have a little rectangle to go inside that bigger rectangle. So that's what we've got for our box ends. So this all belongs to the inner box. So now let's talk about decorating for a minute, and we'll look at the rest of the pieces and then look at how we need to decorate it. So you have one bag here that has all of these teeny tiny little pieces in it. These teeny tiny little pieces are my numbered parts for the inner layers of the puzzle. Nobody is ever going to see these unless they look at the bottom of the box, which I'm sure they will, when the box is put together. So we need to make sure we get those colored properly. And then we have another series of pieces here. These are the inner pieces that are going to go on the inside layers above those bottom U pieces. And finally, we have the decorative pieces that go on top of this box. And you're going to see 8 pieces here that are numbered 1 through 8, and those are our top pieces. Now, before you decorate these, what you're going to want to do first is put them in order, and I'm going to turn them around to do that because I cannot read the numbers. And the 6 and the 8 are still really hard to tell apart. You'll know the 8 because it has little tiny flowers on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what you're going to want to do before you decorate this box top is you're going to want to line the pieces up. Figure out where they go to line up properly, because that's what's going to allow us to do the actual assembly of the box and to make all the parts fit together. So I'm going to do that here, assuming I can figure it out. It's a little tricky to find how good those line up, but that's the fun part of this box. This one still goes down like so. Where's that alignment? There we go. So you're just going to go through and figure out where everything lines up properly. See where those leaves all line up in the flowers. The reason you want to do that, now make sure you sand all of this. Be really careful with sanding your middle numbers, but once you've sanded all of it, then you can decorate. But like I said, make sure you go through the process of decorating it so that the colors line up. Now, it is up to you how easy or hard you make this puzzle box. If you make the flowers that line up bright and shiny, it will be oh so easy for you to assemble it and for others to solve it. If you make them not line up and not bright, then it will probably even take you a little while to assemble it. So before I build it, I'm actually going to color a couple of the flowers to give me a connecting point in some of the flowers. So now you're ready to go away and decorate. Box, outer box, inner box. You'll have 2 pieces that are handle parts, and you're going to build all of that together. So have fun. Bye. All right, before we start looking at all the pieces, I'm going to kind of take my puzzle box apart. We're going to build this top surface, and we'll talk about how that gets built in a bit. And then you'll notice that you have a inner box with a little screw sticking out of the top, and we're going to look at the pieces for that, and an outer box as well. So let's take our stack of big wood apart and look at it. Obviously, this is the equivalent of that faceplate, and then you've got these 2 strip pieces. So these go together with the faceplate like so. These 2 with the holes in them are the 2 pieces that are in our inner box. So I'm going to move that to the stack for the inner box. And then we've got 2 pieces with 2 holes in them. That's the end piece for the inner box and the handle attachments for that. So now I have 6 pieces left that all look very similar. What you're going to find out is that 3 of them, including the end piece for it, have these nice big thick sections on them. That gives us this double high wall. So that's the end pieces and the side pieces for the bigger box. And then the bigger box is also slightly longer. So this is an inner box, the outer box is slightly longer. So these are inner box pieces, and these shorter, the longer ones are outer box pieces, the shorter ones are inner box pieces. So now I've divided them in half. Feels like I'm dealing cards. We're going to talk about what you need to decorate and sand. All of these pieces need to be sanded, including your two handle pieces. So what this will look like is this will be on top of some pieces. So you're going to definitely want to sand the top of this. The bottom of this is where these pieces are going to slide. So you want to sand the bottom of this piece as well. Now the one with the bigger holes is the bottom. The one with the smaller holes is the top. They're going to go in a cute little U like this. So make sure you sand at least the bottom and the top of this stack. Now you probably won't see the bottom except when you're looking inside, but you'll see it some when you do that. You'll see the top of this piece, you'll note, as you slide these one way or another. So you can decide how you want to decorate that piece and decorate your outer box. Then you've got the four pieces of your outer box, your outer box, and you can decorate them however you want to. Make sure to sand them and make them smooth, especially the inside, because that's what your inner box is going to slide against. Then we have the inner box. Now this handle is on the outside, so obviously you're going to want to sand and decorate it. These two are the top pieces for that, so they're going to stack like this and get glued together. So it would be a serious waste to do any fancy decorating on this piece, but you definitely want to do those two together. And then you've got your other three pieces to decorate for that box. So that's our inner and our outer box decoration. Then we are ready for the little pieces. So let's talk about the little pieces. And I'm going to start with this little bag that has U's in it. These are going to get put together. Slide this over here, make sure it doesn't block your view. And they should be numbers, and it should be two pieces at a piece for numbers 2 through 8, and one labeled right. And the numbers should go so that they're all facing the same direction. There's part of 7, there's the other half of 7, there's the other half of 6, 3, and I know they're upside down to you, 2, 1. So that's my numbered pieces. These are going to end up, along with the two pieces that are labeled right from this bag, on the bottom of the box and forming a channel for your screw to slide through. So that's going to slide through that channel like so. So based on that, you want to make sure that you get this surface of these pieces all sanded so that it'll slide nicely on them. And you probably will want to make them dark or some standalone color. As you can see, as you slide things around, you're able to see those and see the numbers on them. I'm also going to show you one trick in assembly and solving the puzzle that may make life easier. So that's what those pieces are. Then we have a second set of small pieces in this second bag. This is going to be the layer that goes on top of these, and you're actually going to flip these upside down and put a layer on top of them. So for the right one, this piece will go on top like this. And the only part of these pieces that you're going to see is this middle channel right here and this little outside ridge. I would recommend not sanding these pieces except for perhaps that middle section, and probably and almost certainly you want to do a little bit of sanding on those little teeth there to make them be able to slide back and forth. And you should have, in addition to the one for right, 2, 4, 6, 8 of those. You're going to have a bottom layer for the left one that's labeled L, a middle layer for the left one that's labeled L. And then these two pieces with holes that don't have letters, the wider one is the left one and the narrower one is the right one. And these are going to be completely buried, as you can see, in between these two layers. So other than making them dark so they're not too visible, you're probably okay. And again, sanding that little section right there, and sanding at least the inner layer there and the inner layer there for assembly, so you can put it all together properly. Now finally, you have the top patterned pieces, and there are 8 of them. And you're definitely going to want to sand the top surface of these, and then you're going to want to decorate them. Now, they may look very, very random, because they are. And I'm going to see if I can do this upside down. You'll notice that they all have numbers on them. 1, 2, 3, 4. The way you're going to solve this puzzle is by lining the pattern up correctly. What that means then to you is that when you decorate it, you want to make it easy enough for you to identify the pattern, and maybe hard, depending on how hard you want the puzzle box to be for somebody else. So what I've got tucked away in my bag of tricks here is I took a set of these already and I colored them. So I'm going to show you my colored set of pieces. And you're going to be able to use that kind of as a reference in your head. When you are decorating, you may even want to pause on this video frame and use it as your way to figure out where you are in terms of alignment. The trick is going to be the better you get, the better job you do on how you put this together, the easier it will be to solve. Now, as you notice, that way, they're not lined up very well at all. But if I do a little bit of sliding around, I can get all of my pieces lined up properly. And I make the colors all line up because, again, it's a hard puzzle to solve no matter what. Yes, that was on purpose. So there's all 8 pieces lined up. And what I would recommend doing when you build it is lining those pieces up and decorating the colors on this top surface based on those pieces all lined up properly. Now, you can be evil and mean and not line them up correctly, but it's really up to you how you decide you're going to decorate the top part of this piece. That's kind of the fun and the art in this piece, really, is going to be how that top layer of pieces gets decorated. This is going to glue down to one of these, and then it's going to get the back U put on it. So you shouldn't have too hard a time with actually getting too much sanding you need to do on the backs of these, probably just a little bit here. So hints are, don't sand these pieces except for right at the tooth and maybe the channel. Do sand everything else well, and decorate and get these all lined up before you start coloring so you don't end up with them out of order. Now go decorate and have fun, and then come back and watch the rest of the video and we'll put this thing together. All right, now that you've sanded and stained and decorated and done beautiful art with all your pieces, we're ready to put it together. And we're going to start with this inner first layer here and put these sliding pieces together. And what we want to do first, since we're going to do the right and the left parts, I want to make sure that they're aligned properly. So we're going to start with opening our screw bag, and we'll take a look at the hardware, and that'll get us the pieces we need to align these. And in our screw bag, you will find 6 of these little round wood pieces. I call them spacers. Sometimes we call them donuts. You'll find 2 long silver screws. These are going to get used for your handle. And then, just to make life complicated, you're going to find 4, although this looks like it's 5, 3/4 inch screws, and 1 5/8 inch screw. So I'm going to take 4 of the 3/4, and then you should also have 7 nuts. And we're going to not need the nuts for right now. And now we're going to put these together. And you're going to start with this big piece here. And just to make life easy, I'm going to flip it upside down. I'm going to put my screws through it. And I'm actually going to not glue these together. So we'll use them for assembly. And when we get there, we're going to want to know how they're assembled. But I don't think we want to glue them together, just because that gives you a little bit of space in the pieces as you use them. And then on the right hand side, the pieces will go together similarly. I'm going to flip this over so I get my nice smooth bottom on that side. This piece goes here. And now I do need to glue these 2 pieces together, just so they don't move around any, since I only have 1 screw hole through them. So I'm going to take this one and slide it in like this, glue it on. And this one is going to go in like this and get screwed on, and it get glued on nice and straight. By not gluing them together, I'm giving myself a little space, at least on the left one, to make things a little slidey. I think for now, I'm actually going to flip this over and go ahead and glue this side. Since this one wants to be as thin as it can be, gluing this side will be okay. Be careful not to get glue on the jut outs, because if you do, then you're going to have to wait longer to get them to dry before you start playing with it. And now I've got my left piece just sitting here all stacked up nicely for when I assemble it, and my right piece is ready to go. But they're giving me a reference to make life easy as we build this. So, we're going to start, and I'm going to use number 8, which is this piece over here, as my correct piece. Now notice what happens is if I flip it. Okay, so the first time I did this video for you, I put it together wrong. So I'm gonna back up, rewind, and I'm gonna redo number 8, and then we'll continue going forward from there. So when you're ready to put piece number 8 together, you want the 8 right side up. You want this one with the tab facing to your left. You're gonna flip it over this way, and then we want to set the 8 on top like this. So vertically we're correct. Flip the 8 over. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. By the way, if you mess up a piece, call us. It's very easy to mess these pieces up. Very, very easy to mess these pieces up. Glue on the 8, get it all lined up nice and smooth. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to remove just a little bit of this glue here. Like this, you know your 8 is the right direction when that little flower that's to the right of those 2 flowers is on the top. If you flip it that way, it says 8 on the top. And now we're going to go back to the video where you can see me put the rest of this together. All right, just to make sure we get all of the rest of these put together in the right direction. Again, that's the hard part of this, right? So I'm going to take all of these pieces and line them up here. And they're all the correct direction until we start turning things upside down to glue them. So, starting with 7, we're now ready to turn that to the right so that it's the opposite direction. And we're going to flip 7 over, and you'll notice when you put it on top, that left side is the side that's not going to overlap properly. So we're going to make sure we put lots of glue, now that we've turned it over, on the left side. And just a little narrow laid on the right side. And we'll get 7 glued on here. You can do them the other direction, but then you can't see the numbers after you build your puzzle, and it's always nice to have the numbers on all the layers. Even on the upside down part, having the numbers isn't going to help somebody solve the puzzle, so it may even confuse them more, and that could be fun. It's always fun to confuse people. So we'll do my 7 here. Get a little glue on this side. You do want to make sure you get enough glue so that it sticks well. And if you're as paranoid as I am, you're going to continue checking this all the way. Now I've turned it right side up. I've still got my 7s on the bottom. I'm going to grab piece number 7. And I'm going to glue top number 7 down like so. Ever so carefully. And again, I'm going to make sure I've got nice smooth movement all the way end to end. But don't stick them together yet, because you really don't want to glue them together. Test it and then pull them back apart. Okay, I'm going to flip this over upside down again. Flip these 2, well, left to right. Flip these 2 over so I can put glue on them. We'll do piece number 6 here. You can go all the way across at the top, but you want to make sure your little indents don't go too far in. You're still going to want to wait, but not have to do it too much. When you flip it over, and I'll show you this, we can check the glue and wipe off any extra glue that got in the track. The smoother you can keep the track, the better off you are. And again, when you're done, if you've got a ton of glue on it, all you need to do is flip it over and wipe it off. If it's too much glue, you can even use your little bit of sandpaper and sand that inner track smooth if you need to. Again, it's number 6. What am I catching on there? Seems pretty good. A little bit of wood on my table. Make sure this really is number 6 that you're gluing it to. Now the trick is I made the pattern and these numbered pieces on the bottom won't match if your path doesn't match. So I'm going to glue number 6 here. Put the number 6 on here like so. Make sure it's sliding up and down nicely. And I'm going to separate them again just to make sure I don't get any glue in that channel. And we're going to repeat that with number 5. If you don't want to listen to me ramble, of course, flip that way. Flipping these 2 over. You can pause the video and do it on your own and speed ahead, but do make sure you don't mess this up. If you mess up a piece, feel free to call us or email us and say, help, I need the following pieces, and we'll be more than happy to put them in an envelope and put them in the mail to you. If you're in the San Francisco Bay Area and you want to come by and see the shop and pick up your pieces directly, please do. I don't want you to mess up your puzzles, though. So Please, if something goes wrong at this step, call us and let us know so we can help you fix it, rather than having you have a puzzle box that has the potential to be really cool, but that doesn't work quite right. Flip it back over the right direction. Always works better the right direction. Add the 5 to the top of this. Gluing down number 5, sliding it and checking it. And if you run it back and forth a bunch of times, you'll also accomplish that same thing of doing a little bit of sanding on the pieces. But make sure you don't leave them sitting here while the glue is drying. Okay, we're ready for 4. Same thing. Flip it left to right. Flip these pieces over to put some glue on them. Glue the bottom. Top part of number 4 on. To build this project, you definitely have to be able to count to 8. There are some adults I know that might be a bit of a challenge for. I'm sure all of the rest of you are fine. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. We're ready for 3 now. Once you get done with this part of the box, it will go much more smoothly. Building the rest of it is easy, because it's just building 2 boxes, but it's building the outer part that's a bit of a challenge. Since we built such a complicated puzzle mechanism. We had a couple of folks solve it yesterday at the box party. Partially by cheating, because they didn't know the right way to solve it, but I give points for cheating. Flip it over, wipe off the glue, test it, glue my number 3 on. That's working nice and smoothly. Again, I'm separating them to make sure the glue has plenty of time to dry. We're ready for number 2. Have I said yet that this is really the hardest part of building this box, and you want to make sure you get these all aligned perfectly. And once you're done, we'll test it one more time. And if you're unhappy, you can use sandpaper or a filing stick on the edges and smooth some of the edges to get you that nice smooth connection between them. The first sample I built, the edge between 4 and 5 was not very good. I'm hoping this one is much smoother. And if you haven't got glue on your fingers yet, then you are doing way better than I have. Oops, it's moving. Wipe the edges as you go. Okay, one more. Flip left to right. One's one piece, so it's much easier to do. Flip it over like so. Glue this down. The reason it's one piece is your screw is going to start in that channel right there. And it doesn't need to go all the way past it, so I didn't cut one in half. Back her that way and that way. Take our one. Got a little bit of extra glue now. Glue it back like so. Make sure that goes there okay. And test slide 1, again separating it so that it dries. And at this point, you have accomplished the magic of getting your pieces built. Now that you've got all of your pieces decorated and assembled the puzzle top layer, we're actually ready to assemble the rest of the puzzle top. What we're trying to build is this unit here. So you'll notice you've got your pieces numbered 1 to 8, slided between these 3 pieces of wood, and you'll notice that the hold is down here on the side near the 8. So we're going to take this U piece. One of them has a small hole in it, one of them has big holes in it, and I want the small hole one. And I'm going to put the slot out to my right. I'm going to take my left piece here with the stack with the bottom piece and the middle piece with my little slot in it, and the right piece, and I'm going to take my faceplate with the flower. The left side is wider than the right side is how you tell those apart and how to make them. It's way easier to have them separated. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Again, I'm not going to glue it yet. I want to see how loose or tight they need to be when I do that. And I'm just going to hand tighten it here. I'm going to grab a second screw, second 3/4 inch screw, slide it through, if I can be coordinated enough. Gravity and I are having a little bit of a fight today. Move that to where it's actually lined up. I put this nut on like so, and again I'm going to hand tighten it. I'm going to slide my pieces in one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to take my right piece. The jut out needs to go towards the puzzle piece, so that's going to go there. We're going to take 2 more of our 3/4 inch screws and put them through these holes. Get them lined up nicely. And again, I'm going to put the nuts on finger tight here. Make sure this works well. And the first thing we're going to look at is, are the pieces all sliding nice and smoothly or not? Notice how this right one's a little tight. If I back the screws off just a hair, I bet it's smoother. Yeah, that's much nicer. And I'm going to go ahead and screw these off and put some glue on them. Just enough to hold them. You can wait and do this glue at the very end as well if it is easier for you. Just before you glue this onto the box, either way is fine. And I'm not going to do it too tight, and make sure I can still slide piece number 8. Over here on the other side, things are sliding nicely. So again, I'm just going to pull these nuts off. And put a dot of glue on them. And hand tighten them in. Very tight because I want to make sure that everything is still sliding nicely on both sides. Okay, so the way you solve the puzzle, if you can see the bottom, which you won't be able to once you put it on your box, is you line the pieces up to the slots. So one option, and then you line them all up across the middle here. So one option for you, if you're interested in making it easier for you to get in and out of your box, is to line these pieces up and then draw a line on the bottom that you can see once the box is assembled. Now, I don't recommend that, but I know that this is a hard puzzle to solve otherwise, and it takes getting these all lined just perfectly. So it might make your life oh so much easier to get them all lined up and draw that line. Otherwise, you're going to solve the puzzle by the following. On the number 8 picture, that flower I've colored pink right there gets lined up to the top of that slot. So if you look here, number 8 is now lined up perfectly. And then I've colored the pieces such that they all line up. And it's fairly easy to solve because I can go line them all up. And in the box, there's only one screw across. So if I know where the starting point on screw number 1 is, I can fairly quickly get all of the remainder of the pieces lined up in such a way that I can solve the puzzle and get them all perfectly ready to go. If I can see my colors okay. That's caught on the way. Come on. Number 7, you don't have to be caught. No, it's number 2. Going the wrong way. No wonder it won't line up. Number 2 goes right there. Doing this upside down is really hard. And then number 1 goes here. And the other trick is you could put number 1 so that that flower is in that location. So either number 8 flower lines up there, or the number 1 flower lines up partially covered by that top edge. Either way, you've then got a puzzle all ready to solve, and the pieces should slide out okay. And you can see it keeps sliding around on me when I flip it upside down. Now that you've got the top built, you have one last piece on the top to do. That's to glue this layer down on top of the box like so. So I'm going to Put a layer of glue here and glue this on the top so we're all ready to go. And the next video will show you how to make the inner box. All right, we're now ready to build your inner box. You're going to have your 3 sides, your end, which needs to go this way, my current glue setup, so that I've got an in on that side and an out on that side, ready to match with that. You've got your extra piece that's going to go to build your handle on there. And you need to have your box top that's going to sit on top. Now, I gave you this extra piece earlier, and I've determined you don't need it, so we're going to put it on the side for now. So, I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this one side, and pull it up and tuck it in. And I'm going to put glue on the end of my box. And on this surface here, and go ahead and add the end to my box. Like so. Nope, I'm backwards. Like so. Glue those pieces together. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Trust me when I say you don't want to see the outtakes for building this project. It's complicated. I'm going to fasten that all together nicely. Make sure that's all really glued well. The trick with this inner box and the outer box both are you want to make sure they're glued well. And now we can go ahead and we can put our end on our box. So I'm going to put some glue here, carefully avoiding the screw holes. And I'm going to start with aligning everything by dropping these screws in. And fasten this handle, this side on here like this. And last but not least for my inner box, actually I'm not quite to last, 3, 4, 5. Pause for a moment while I go look for the last donut. Which I'm sure has rolled away from me. Aha! I have found the 6th donut. All right, so we're going to take our 2 handle pieces, glue them together, and use the screws to make sure that alignment stays perfect. We're going to add 3 spacers to each set of screws. And then we're carefully going to put our screws and our handles onto our box front like so. Put a little drop of glue on each of our screws. And glue the nuts on inside the box. Which is hard to show you because little fingers are required. And now to build the box top, all you're going to do is put that screw up through there like so. And glue that nut on as well. Make sure it gets in nice and tight. And then we're going to glue that top onto there like so. And we'll put the box top, inner box top on. And we're ready to now build the outer box, which will be in the next step. So now we just need to build our outer box and we're done with our puzzle. So, again, we've got one end. We've got two sides that have big teeth on them. Those are going to be our outer edges. We have one that has only narrow pieces, so that's going to be an inner edge. And we have our end piece, again, which has a narrow edge on it. Make sure your box will latch together properly and you don't have the inside out or the outside in before you glue it, or there will be great sadness in Mudville because the mighty Casey will have struck out. Put this glue on here, like so. Put this side in. It's pressure fit, so you're gonna have to use a little pressure on it. If you are a child and you need to use your dad's strong hands or your mom's strong hands, that's a good thing. I'm also gonna put some glue on this side when I add the end. That side glued on well, and again, we're making these big thick teeth be at the top. This should fit properly, so I need glue here. And that should fit smoothly, and there should be enough play to easily, smoothly be able to slide your box in and out now. And then once you've done that, we have one last step in making your box, which is gluing this top piece on. So we need to make sure that the slot goes on the end of the box, so you'll be able to slide this in like so to build your box. So I'm going to just again put a little bit of glue on these teeth. When you're just first doing it, if you want to make it easy to open for you, you can always just pressure fit it in and then pull the lid off if you need to. But I'm going to glue this one on for this time. And again, this is going to take a little bit of pressure fitting because I don't think I got that aligned as good as I could have. Working on that side. Come on. Yep, gluing that bottom piece wasn't aligned perfectly. And if it doesn't come up aligned perfectly, again, you can use sandpaper to get it to line up. You can have parents or other people Hulk smash on it to get it to line up for you. And then once it's lined up, you'll notice you can't put your box in it. So you're going to have to start and get the holes lined up properly. And get all the pieces to line up so you can slide your box in. The nice thing is, with this version of the box, you only have to get one lined up at a time. We were going to do the hard version, but we opted to make life easy on you for this one. So you only have to get one lined up at a time to make it go in. And now you have a puzzle box. All set, ready to go. Enjoy.